Let's talk about turmeric. You've seen it everywhere, right? It's that bright yellow spice that suddenly jumped from the kitchen cabinet into, well, everything. I mean, from those fancy golden milk lattes at your local coffee shop to entire aisles of supplements at the health food store, this ancient spice is having a major modern moment. But what's the real deal? Is all this hype justified? That's what we're going to dig into. We're going to separate the solid science from the wishful thinking. First off, you should know this is not some new fad, not even close. Turmeric's reputation goes back thousands of years. We're talking traces found in ancient pots from over 4,000 years ago. By 500 BCE, it was a huge deal in Ayurvedic medicine, and it even popped up in Western cookbooks by the 1700s. And get this, in ancient Ayurvedic traditions, they had a name for turmeric, Jayanti. You know what that means? One who is victorious over diseases. I mean, wow, that's a pretty serious title to live up to. So, with thousands of years of history, you'd think the science would be a total slam dunk, right? Well, it's actually a lot more complicated than that. This is where we run into a really fascinating scientific puzzle that's known as the Curcumin paradox. Okay, so to understand this paradox, you have to meet the main character in our story, a compound called curcumin. Curcumin is the powerhouse inside turmeric. It's what gives it that vibrant golden color, and it's what scientists believe is responsible for most of the good stuff, like its anti-inflammatory effects. On paper, curcumin looks like a superhero molecule, but when scientists actually tried to study it in the human body, they hit a brick wall, a really big one. And here is the problem. When you eat turmeric, a whopping 75% of that powerful curcumin just passes right through your body without being absorbed. 75%! Scientists call this poor bioavailability, which is just a fancy way of saying our bodies are really, really bad at actually using it. And this is the core of the paradox. It's the multi-million-dollar question. If we can't even get this stuff into our system, how in the world could it be doing all the amazing things that people have been saying it does for centuries? So, how do we solve this puzzle? Well, the answer is so cool. It's this perfect mix of knowledge that's thousands of years old and cutting-edge modern science. It turns out the secret isn't curcumin itself, but what you take with it. Think of curcumin as a team player. On its own, it kind of sits on the bench. But when you pair it with the right teammates, these enhancers, the whole game changes. Your body can suddenly absorb it and put it to work. And here's the most famous and oldest trick in the book. You know how so many traditional Indian dishes have both turmeric and black pepper? There's a reason for that. A tiny pinch of black pepper contains a compound called piperine that can boost the absorption of curcumin by, wait for it, 2,000%. That is not a typo. 2,000. It's incredible. And it's not just old school kitchen wisdom. Modern science is finding its own high-tech solutions. For instance, by wrapping curcumin molecules in teeny tiny nanoparticles, scientists have been able to increase absorption by 9-fold. But hold on, there's another twist, a really interesting one. It turns out the main event might not even happen in our bloodstream. Some of the latest research suggests that our gut bacteria, our microbiota, act like a tiny biological factory, processing the curcumin and unlocking its benefits right there in our gut. Okay. So we know how to make curcumin more available to our bodies. But the big question remains, does it actually do anything once it gets there? Let's take a look at what the clinical trials say. So a major review back in 2022 pulled together the results from 9 different high-quality studies. And all of them were focused on one key question. What is the effect of this newly absorbable or bioactive curcumin on inflammation? Now, to measure inflammation, they looked for a specific marker in the blood called C-reactive protein, or CRP. The easiest way to think about CRP is as your body's fire alarm. When those levels are high, it's a sign that there's inflammation happening somewhere. And the results were pretty striking. Take a look at this chart. The groups that got a placebo, a sugar pill, saw basically no change in their inflammation markers. But the people who took the bioavailable curcumin, their CRP levels went down a lot. This is some of the strongest evidence we have that if you can solve the absorption problem, curcumin really can help lower inflammation. Okay, so the science is compelling. But what does this all mean for you in your daily life? How can you actually put this information to use safely and effectively? Well, one of the easiest and honestly most delicious ways is to make that golden milk we talked about. This simple recipe is basically ancient wisdom in a cup. Curcumin is fat-soluble, so the fat in the milk helps you absorb it. And of course, you've got that all-important pinch of black pepper to really unlock its power.
But, and this is super important, you need to be smart about this. While turmeric is safe for most people, it's not for everyone. If you have issues with your gallbladder, if you're on blood thinners, if you have an iron deficiency, or certain hormone-sensitive conditions, you absolutely have to talk to your doctor before you start using it regularly. Seriously.
So when you look at the whole story, turmeric is just this amazing case of modern science finally catching up to and proving what ancient wisdom has known all along. It's a great reminder that sometimes the most powerful things have been sitting right in front of us. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets are hiding out in our own spice racks?